The wolf died hard. Fireys felt it in the way the arrow struck, not the clean surrender of a clean kill, but a stubborn refusal that shuddered through the shaft and into her fingers. The beast collapsed in the snow-dusted ferns, breath steaming, yellow eyes burning with accusation until the last tremor left its ribs. "I'm sorry," she whispered, lowering the bow. She always said it, to the rabbits, to the deer, to the fox that once tried to bite her even while dying. The woods heard her apologies more often than her laughter. She knelt beside the wolf and pressed her palm to its flank, honoring the old habit her father taught her. Take, but never pretend you are not taking. The body was lean but strong. It would feed her mother and brothers for days if she stretched it with roots and broth. The wind shifted. The forest went quiet. Not the normal hush of winter branches. This was the kind that erased sound entirely, as if the world held its breath. Fireys looked up slowly. Across the clearing stood something that had not been there before. It was shaped like a wolf, but wrong in every way that mattered. Taller than a horse at the shoulder, its limbs were jointed too long. Its fur moved like drifting smoke instead of hair. Antlers of black glass grew from its skull, tangled with dead vines. Its eyes glowed with a deep red that did not reflect light. They generated it. The air around it rippled like heat over coals. Fireys rose, arrow already knocked. Her heart hammered, but her stance was steady. "I've taken what I need," she said. "I won't waste it." The creature's jaws opened, not downward but sideways, unfolding like petals of a nightmare. When it spoke, its voice came from everywhere at once. Need is not permission. The snow beneath her boots turned to black water. The dead wolf's body dissolved into drifting sparks. Fireys loosed the arrow. It froze mid-flight. The shaft hung in the air, trembling, then rotted to dust. She did not have time to reach for another. The creature stepped forward without moving. Distance folded, and suddenly it was there, towering over her. The smell of storm and iron filled her lungs. "Blood answered with blood," it said. "Come and learn the cost." It touched her forehead with one claw. The world split open. She landed on her back under a violet sky. Fireys gasped, sucking in air that tasted like mint and lightning. The ground beneath her was not soil but a woven mat of pale roots, pulsing faintly like veins. Above her, clouds drifted upside down, revealing stars beneath them instead of above. She rolled to her side and scrambled up, reaching for weapons. Her bow was gone. Her knife remained, though the blade now shimmered like liquid silver. Good enough. The forest around her was vast and wrong. Trees curved in spirals. Leaves were translucent and full of slow-moving light. Insects the size of her hand floated like lanterns between branches. "Where are you?" she shouted. The beast stood at the edge of a rise, silhouetted against the inverted sky. "You stand in Marrowwood," it said. "The hunting ground beneath the hunting ground." Fireys spat. "I don't care what you call it. Send me back. Not until the debt is weighed. I killed a wolf. You killed a child of my pack." She hesitated. It was alone. It was learning. Something tightened in her chest. Not guilt, but resistance to guilt. "It would have eaten my brothers if it could." "Then let us measure your worth against its loss." The beast lifted its head and howled. The sound did not travel. It arrived everywhere at once. The glowing insects fell from the air. The root ground convulsed. From between the spiraled trees came movement. Shapes detached from shadow. Antlered boars with ember tusks. Foxes made of broken mirror. Birds whose wings were stitched from leaves and bone. Their eyes all burned the same red as the beast's. Fireys set her stance. "So that's it," she said. "You want to hunt. I want truth." They charged. She ran first. No hunter survives long by fighting a stampede head-on. Fireys sprinted downslope, weaving between root ridges. The creatures followed, not fast, but relentless. They did not tire. They did not collide with obstacles. They flowed around them. Think. Terrain is weapon. Ahead, The land broke into a field of towering crystal growths, each humming with trapped wind. She veered toward them and drew her knife. As the first mirror fox leapt, she slashed a crystal column. It shattered with a thunderclap. The shockwave threw beasts aside like leaves. The sound staggered even her, but she stayed upright. Good, repeatable. She carved another, and another. The field became a storm of detonations. Light fractured, roots tore, creatures fell and rose and fell again, their bodies reforming from drifting smoke. Slowed, but not stopped. Not enough. She needed advantage, not delay. A shape burst from the chaos, a stag made of bark and stars. It cleared the crystals in one bound and landed in front of her, antlers lowering. Fireys dove beneath its neck and drove her knife upward. The blade pierced and drank. She felt it. The knife pulled something through her arm, a cold, rushing strength. The stag exploded into white sparks that flowed into the weapon, leaving nothing behind. The knife grew heavier, brighter. "Oh," she breathed, "you're special." "Everything here is," the beast's voice rolled distantly, "including consequences." The remaining creatures circled now, wary. Good, they could learn. So could she. Hours, or something like hours, passed in running battles. She learned Marrowwood quickly or died. Those were the only options. Water flowed uphill here. Fire burned cold unless fed with breath. Some creatures could be killed only in reflection, others only while unseen. Her knife drank their essence and changed, lengthening, curving, whispering faintly when danger neared. She set traps from singing vines. She rode a wind current across a canyon of floating stones. She hid inside the hollow ribcage of a colossal skeleton while a storm made of feathers tore the sky apart, and always the beast watched, not interfering, not helping, judging. At last she stood at the edge of a black lake smooth as glass. Her muscles trembled with exhaustion, but she was alive and alone. "Enough!" she shouted. "I've survived your game." The beast appeared across the lake without ripple or sound. Survival is not balance. Then what is? It stepped onto the lake's surface. The water did not break. Choice. The lake brightened, becoming a mirror. In it she saw her home, the sagging roof, the thin smoke from the chimney, her mother stirring an empty pot to quiet hungry children. Then the image shifted. The wolf she killed, smaller, younger, playing in snow beside two others. Her jaw tightened. "I know what I did." "Do you?" The mirror changed again. She saw a winter soon to come, harsher than any before. No game, frozen rivers, starvation, her family, gone by spring. Then another vision, Fireys in Marrowwood, blade of light in hand, hunting its creatures, becoming something fierce and legendary, feared even by the beast before her. "You're showing me lies." "I am showing you roads." "Why?" "Because you do not belong only to one world anymore." She laughed hoarsely. "I never asked to belong to this one." The arrow asked. Silence stretched. "What do you want from me?" she said at last. The beast lowered its massive head. "Replace what you took," she frowned. "You want me to raise a wolf. I want you to become one." The word hung between them like frost. "No." "Then your line ends this winter." She searched its burning gaze and found no bluff there, no cruelty either, only law, hunter's law, take, replace, balance. Fireys looked at the mirror lake again, at her family, at the empty pot. Her fingers tightened around the transformed knife. Power hummed through it now, wild, deep, alive. "If I agree," she said slowly, "I choose how." The beast waited. "I hunt for you," she said. "I keep the borders between this world and mine. Nothing crosses without cost. Nothing starves without a fight." The red eyes narrowed, considering. "You would be Fang and Flame." "Fireys," she corrected. "My name is Fireys." A long pause. Then the beast bowed. The lake shattered into rising light. "Then rise, Fireys Fangbearer." Power struck like lightning. Spring came early that year. Game returned to the valley in strange abundance, strong, healthy, never too many, never too few. Predators kept their distance from the village borders. Hunters sometimes glimpsed a young woman walking the tree line at dusk, cloak made of shifting leaves, blade glowing faintly at her side. Wolves followed her without fear. And deep in the woods, when something unnatural tried to cross into mortal lands, it found her waiting. Eyes bright as banked coals, stance steady, apology ready on her lips before the strike. "I'm sorry," Fyrese would whisper. And the balance held. Fang and Flame. Part 2. Summer did not come gently after that spring. It came watchful. The elders said the birds sang differently, too precise, too measured. The streams never flooded, never shrank. Storms broke at the valley's edge and walked around it like respectful guests. No sickness lingered, no predator overhunted, no hunter returned empty-handed twice in a row. Balance had teeth now, and a keeper. Fyrese learned the borders by walking them, not as lines on land, but as tensions in the air. Places where sound bent wrong, where shadows arrived before their owners, where animal tracks crossed and then forgot which direction they meant to go. The knife, no longer just a knife, whispered when she neared a thinning place. Its edge had become pale as moonbone, its spine veined with dim light. It drank only what crossed without right. She apologized every time. Some laughed before they died. Some begged. Some tried to bargain with names that were not hers to answer to. She learned to listen, but not to yield. Marrowwood spoke to her more easily now, in dreams, in reflections, in the pause between heartbeats. The beast, the pack father as she had begun to think of it, appeared rarely and only to correct. Never to praise, especially never to comfort. That, she realized, was intentional. The first true breach came on a windless dusk. Birdsong cut off mid-note. The knife grew hot in her hand. Fyrese turned toward the north ridge and ran. The tear showed itself as a shimmer, like heat over stone, stretched between two dead trees. Through it, she glimpsed something moving with too many joints and too much patience, not pushing through. Fishing. Tendrils of shadow extended like fingers, probing the mortal side, testing weight, testing air. "Not today," Fyrese said quietly. She stepped between the trees. The tendrils recoiled, then struck. They wrapped her arm, cold as buried iron. The contact tried to pull memory instead of flesh. She felt childhood moments slipping, her father's laugh, her mother's cooking songs. She stabbed the tear itself. Reality rang like struck glass, the wound sealed with a flash of white. The tendrils shrieked and withdrew. Something on the far side screamed in outrage, not pain, but hunger denied. Fyrese staggered back, shaking. Her memories flowed back into place like water returning to a diverted stream. "Cost paid," she said aloud, voice unsteady. The woods resumed breathing. Word spread, as it always does, but wrong. Not protector, not warden, witch, beast bride, border ghost. Hunters began leaving offerings at tree lines, bones tied with red thread, burned herbs, sometimes coins. She ignored them all except the herbs. Those she redistributed deeper into the woods where they would do actual good. She did not step into the village anymore, not after the dogs started howling when she passed unseen. Not after her youngest brother looked straight at her from the doorway, Nenais, and did not recognize her. That cut deeper than any claw. Balance, she reminded herself, is not comfort. The second breach did not feel like a breach at all, which is why it nearly succeeded. It wore human shape. Fyrese sensed wrongness only because the insects avoided landing near the traveler. Even flies refused her. She stood from her perch in the pines and watched. Woman. Mid-20s, perhaps. Traveling cloak, crossbow, short sword, alchemy satchel, moved like someone trained, but tired. Very tired. Human breath, human heat, wrong shadow. It lagged a half step behind. Fyrese dropped silently into the path ahead of her. The traveler reacted instantly, crossbow up, sighted center mass. "Don't," the woman said, calm, dangerous. "I've had a very long week." "You're wearing something," Fiery said. "Boots, regret, bad stitching, be specific." "Not cloth." The woman's eyes narrowed. Gray, sharp as split flint. "You're one of the forest zealots, then." "I guard this border. I pass through it." "Not like that." A pause. Assessment. Wind shifting between them. "Name," the traveler said. "Fieries." A flicker. Recognition? Rumor memory? "Lysa," the woman replied. "Monster hunter." Fieries almost laughed. "No," she said gently. "You're bait." Lysa fired. Fieries twisted. The bolt grazed her shoulder and buried itself in a tree. It hissed, eating bark with green smoke. Poisoned. "Last warning," Lisa said. "Drop your shadow," Fieries answered. They moved at the same time. Lysa rolled and drew blade. Fieries closed distance inside the sword's ideal arc, knife flashing. Not at Lysa, but at her shadow. The blade struck darkness. It screamed. The ground peeled upward like burned paper, and something unfolded from beneath Lysa's feet, a skin-thin mimic wearing her outline like a discarded coat. Lysa swore violently and leapt clear. "That was attached to me. Yes, you could have led with that. You shot me. You appeared dramatically." "Fair!" The mimic lunged. They killed it together without further discussion, her silver knife anchoring it, Lysa's alchemical vial detonating it into harmless ash. Silence followed. Then, "You're bleeding," Lysa said. "So are you," Fieries replied. They both looked. Neither was. Shared hallucination residue, marrowwood leakage, that unsettled them both more than the fight. They did not trust each other, which is exactly why they kept walking in the same direction. Predators that hunt predators recognize pattern quickly. "You're not corrupted," Lisa said at last. "You're not prey," Fieries answered. "High praise. You carry breach smell. I track incursions. Close contact happens." "Something followed you." "I know. Why come here?" "Because everything being tracked runs toward this forest," Lisa said. "Or away from you. That should tell you something. It tells me you're either effective or guilty." "Same tool set," Fieries said. That almost earned a smile. Almost. The third breach opened under both their feet. No warning, no shimmer. Ground simply disagreed. They fell through sky that had roots instead of stars, and landed hard on living wood. Marrowwood. But deeper than before. Fieries felt it instantly. Pressure, like being watched by bones. "You didn't mention falling worlds," Lisa groaned. "They usually knock." "Rude of this one." Shapes moved between the spiral trees. Not hunters, not beasts, observers. Tall, robed in moss and antler fragments, faces hidden behind bark masks grown into their flesh. Lisa raised her crossbow. Fieries pushed it gently down. "Do not start that war." "Do not finish my sentences," Lysa said, but she didn't raise it again. One of the masked figures spoke without moving its mouth. "Fangbearer returns, with Iron Slayer." "Rude," Lisa muttered. "I have a name." "Names are doors." "Yes, that's what they're for." Fieries hid a breath laugh. The figure turned its mask toward her. "Your replacement is incomplete." "I stand the border," Fieries said. "You stand near it. Say what you want said." "The Packfather weakens." That hit like cold water. The beast, weakening, felt impossible. "Why?" she asked. "Choice spreads." "That is not an answer. It is the only one." The figures stepped back into trees and became trees. Lysa exhaled slowly. "I hate your workplace." "Shared feeling," Fieries said. "You heard them. Your big antlered supervisor is failing." "He does not fail. Everything fails. Not law. Especially law." They looked at each other, tension flaring, different faiths, same certainty. Misunderstanding sparked like flint. Attraction followed like heat. Neither acknowledged it. Professionals. "What hunts a law?" Lysa asked. Something that feeds on broken bargains, Fiery said quietly. Lysa's jaw tightened. I've seen signs of that. Then you didn't come here by accident. I never do. They started walking, not together, but aligned. Roots parted for Fieries, did not for Lysa. Fieries offered a hand once over a living ravine. Lysa refused, jumped, barely made it, accepted the next time without comment. Progress. They found the wound at the heart of Marrowwood. Not a tear, a negotiation. Something vast coiled around a standing stone of bone and light, invisible except where reality bent around it like fabric pulled tight. Its voice sounded like promises remembered differently. Keeper grows tired, it murmured. Replacement incomplete. Fiery stepped forward. I am here. Half choice. Lysa stepped beside her. Then she's not alone, Lysa said. Fieries blinked, surprised, warmed, irritated at being warmed. You are not bound, Fieries told her. I am involved, Lysa corrected. Different word, stronger one. The coiled presence tightened. 2 hunters, 1 law, 1 blade, 1 doubt. 2 doubts, Lysa said. Correct, Fieries added. They attacked together. Badly coordinated, poorly synchronized, absolutely committed, which in Marrowwood counts for more than precision. Silver drank vow flesh. Alchemy burned promise smoke. When it ended, the standing stone rang like struck metal, and somewhere across worlds, a great wolf howled in renewed strength. Silence settled. Lysa sat down hard. Next time, she said, we plan. Fiery sat beside her. Next time you don't shoot me first. No promises. A beat. You apologize to what you kill, Lysa observed. Yes, even me. If necessary, that's unsettlingly intimate. That is the point. They looked at each other then, really looked, suspicion still present, friction still real, but something magnetic beneath it now. Recognition, not safety, alignment, temporary, powerful, unavoidable. We're not done, Lysa said. No, Fieries agreed. We're not. And Marrowwood, listening, did not disagree. Marrowwood did not release them immediately. That should have worried them more than it did. They slept where they sat, backs to the standing stone, exhaustion dragging them down faster than caution could protest. Dreams came heavy and shared, not the same images, but the same weight. Fieries dreamed of borders dissolving into shorelines. Waves advanced, retreated, advanced again, never quite touching her feet. Each retreat took something small with it, a name, a smell, the certainty of a direction. Lysa dreamed of doors, some open, some sealed, one ajar just enough to show antlers inside. They woke at the same time. Dawn filtered through the impossible canopy, light fractured into green and gold, falling wrong. The standing stone was quiet now, its earlier hum reduced to a low, contented thrum. The wolf's still alive, Lysa said without preamble. Yes, you felt it. Yes. Good, Lysa said. I would have been furious if we did all that for a symbolic gesture. Fiery stood, testing herself. The knife rested easily at her side again. Its earlier heat faded to a calm, watchful cool. It cost something, she said. Everything costs something. Fieries glanced at her. That answer used to satisfy me. And now? Now it sounds like an excuse. Lysa studied her openly, then nodded once. Welcome to the middle. They began the long climb back toward the upper roots. Marrowwood resisted them just enough to remind them who was host. Thorns snagged Lysa's cloak. Branches shifted underfoot. Once a root curled around Fieries' ankle, not hostile but testing. She paused, pressed her palm to the bark. I am still keeper. The root loosened, not apologetically, cautiously. Your forest doesn't fully trust you, Lysa observed. It never should. Good answer. They reached the thinning places by late afternoon, where Marrowwood's pressure eased and the mortal world began reasserting its familiar, fragile rules. The transition made Lysa dizzy. Fiery steadied her without comment. Don't get used to that, Lisa muttered. I won't. A lie, a small one, already noted. The village lay quiet when they approached, not abandoned but subdued. Smoke rose straight from chimneys. Dogs slept instead of pacing. Children played without watching the tree line every few seconds. Balance held. Fiery stopped short of the path. You don't enter, Lisa said. I can't. You won't, Lisa corrected. Fireys didn't argue. From this distance, she could see her brother again. Older now, shoulders broader, carrying water with the easy confidence of someone who had survived several good years in a row. He laughed at something someone said. The sound landed in her chest and stayed there. Lisa watched her, not intruding, not looking away either. They're safer with you outside, she said. Fireys nodded. That doesn't make it easier. No, Lisa agreed. It never does. They turned away together. They parted at the old stone bridge, the last clean line before paths diverged. I track south, Lisa said. Whatever we fought wasn't alone. It never is. The north borders will test again soon, Fireys replied. They always do after a correction. A pause. Neither moved. So, Lisa said lightly, if I'm hunted into your territory again, I will stop you, Fireys said. Lisa smiled, sharp and pleased. I'd be insulted if you didn't. Another pause, heavier now. Fireys, Lisa said, then stopped, rethought. Keeper. Yes? If the Packfather fails completely, he won't. When? Lisa corrected gently. If you're wrong. Fireys's fingers tightened around the knife. Then Marrowwood will demand a full choice. And you? I don't know yet. That, Lisa said, is an answer I trust. They exchanged no promises, which meant more than one would have. Lisa crossed the bridge and didn't look back. Fireys watched until she was gone. Then she turned north, back to the breathing woods. The Packfather came to her 3 nights later, not in dream, in body. The great wolf stood at the edge of the clearing, fur silvered with age and moonlight, antlers heavier than before, but his breath labored. Power still radiated from him, yes, but stretched thin, distributed, shared too widely. You broke a pattern, he said, voice a rumble felt more than heard. Yes. You brought iron into marrow-deep places. Yes. You did not ask. No. A long silence. Then, surprisingly, a huff of something like amusement. You are becoming difficult. I learned from you. That, the wolf said, is my concern. He stepped closer, lowered his massive head until his gaze met hers. The law is changing, he said, because mortals change it by surviving. Fireys swallowed, then let it change. And when it no longer needs beasts, then we step aside. Voluntarily? Yes. The Packfather studied her for a long time. Finally, you have found alignment. I have found a problem. Same thing, he said and turned away. Before he vanished into the trees, he added, next time, choose faster. Far to the south, Lisa skinned her blade clean and felt the pull again, that subtle pressure between worlds, not a summons, an invitation. She smiled grimly. Yeah, she told the dark, I know. Somewhere between Fang and Flame the hunt continued, and the border, no longer a line but a conversation, held. The fourth breach announced itself with music. That was how Fireys knew something was wrong. Music did not belong at borders. Sound softened edges, sound invited. Whatever crossed with a melody intended to be welcomed. She felt it before she heard it, her knife warming, not warning hot, but curious, interested. The forest leaned, branches tilting toward the source like listeners straining for a favorite verse. Fireys moved fast, cloak of leaves whispering around her as she reached the glade where the air shimmered gold instead of tearing. A figure stood at its center. Beautiful, infuriatingly so. He leaned against nothing at all. One boot crossed over the other, long pale hair braided with living flowers that opened and closed as he breathed. His eyes were the color of fresh sap, too bright, too knowing. Gossamer wings flickered behind him, half seen, as if reality couldn't quite agree to include them. "Well," he said lightly, fingers still plucking a harp string that wasn't there. "You took your time." Fiery stopped 10 paces away. "You're bleeding into my border." "Am I?" He glanced down, mock concerned, then smiled. "Ah, that. Apologies. I get enthusiastic." "Fairy." The knife hummed, pleased and angry both. "You know the cost," Fiery said. "Oh, I know you," he corrected. He stepped closer without crossing the line. Clever. Fiery's fang-bearer. Apology on her lips, blade in her hand, heart. "Finish that sentence," she warned. His smile sharpened. Unavailable. The forest rustled, amused. "I didn't come to cross," he said. "I came to court." Her laugh escaped before she could stop it, short, incredulous. "You picked the wrong kind of woman." "That's what everyone says right before they fall in love." She raised her knife. "Leave. Invite me properly. I don't invite parasites." "Ouch." He pressed a hand to his chest. "I prefer temptation." The air warmed. Flowers bloomed where his shadow touched. Magic thickened, honey sweet and dangerous. He leaned closer, close enough she could smell summer storms and crushed mint. "You walk between worlds," he murmured. "You could walk into mine." Fiery did not step back. Her pulse betrayed her. Just once. That was enough. The fairy smiled slowly. "There it is." She pressed the knife to his throat. The blade drank a fraction of his glow, not enough to harm, just enough to warn. "I am not a prize," she said, "and I don't belong." He swallowed. For the first time, sincerity flickered through the playfulness. "Neither do I." For a breath, the world held. Then Fiery stepped away. "Go," she said, "before I decide you're a breach." The fairy bowed, deep, theatrical, eyes never leaving hers. "Sooner or later, Fangbearer, you'll choose something that wants you back." He dissolved into music and pollen and laughter. The forest exhaled. Fiery stood alone, knife cooling, annoyed at the echo of heat still curling low in her stomach. "Problem," she muttered. She found Lisa 2 nights later, because of course she did. Steel rang against Moonbone as Fieries blocked a downward strike, sparks flying where blade met blade. They broke apart instantly, circling. "You're trespassing," Fieries said. "You moved the border," Lisa shot back. "Again." They stared at each other, sweat, breath, tension vibrating like a drawn bowstring. Then Lisa laughed, breathless. "Gods, I missed this." Fieries didn't answer. She lunged instead. They fought like argument and attraction given form, close, efficient, relentless. Fieries' knife flashed, Lisa's sword answered. Neither landed a killing blow, neither wanted to. Finally, Fieries twisted Lisa's wrist and pinned her to a tree, knife braced at her throat. "Yield," Fieries said softly. Lisa's pulse jumped beneath the blade. Her smile was all teeth. "Make me." Fieries' breath caught. That was the moment, the dangerous one, the moment where balance wavered not because of magic but because of want. She stepped back abruptly. Lisa straightened, annoyed, and something else. "You're worse than the Fae," she said. "At least they commit." Fieries glared. "You don't know what you're asking." "I know exactly what I'm asking," Lisa replied. "You're just afraid the answer is yes." Silence fell between them, heavy, charged. From the shadows at the glade's edge, something shifted. A third presence. To be continued.